to the Wellness Covenant with Donna, where we're learning something deeper than trends and quick fixes. Because the key to maintaining consistent, healthy habits is not what most people think. It's not willpower, it's not motivation. Staying on the bandwagon comes from building a strong covenant foundation. A commitment that goes beyond feelings, a promise that anchors your choices. A lifestyle rooted in purpose and intention. So if you're ready to build that strong foundation, to experience a healthier life as you grow older without falling off the bandwagon, then come join me every third Monday.
Hey, good afternoon, and welcome to another Wellness Covenant with Donna. We are here with our wellness coach, Donna Caldwell, and Chef Marlene. And I'm excited about the topic today because we all have someone that we know, even if it's ourselves, that's either type 1 or type 2 diabetic. And so we're going to hear how we can control and some of the myths that's out there that makes us think that if we stop this, that we can control that. But I thank God for our wellness coach who is always dropping knowledge. And again, we have Chef Marlene, who can also, if you need some recipes, some stuff, the Chippy Chick cookbook is on its way out. Keep praying. I'm telling you, it's going to bless you. And so we're here today just to have a conversation, to learn and to get the knowledge so we can come into covenant relationship with our food and with our God. Thank you, Donna, for being with us one more time.
Yes, well, thank you again for having me each month. I love doing this because I love sharing. I love sharing, and especially with God's people, anything to keep us well. We really, really need to be well, and it's for so many reasons. I mean, first and foremost, to be effective for God. That's one thing that we all need to realize, particularly as believers, that to be most effective for God, we need to be well, and that we can't separate the physical from the spiritual. They're together. They're knitted together until Jesus comes or sends for us. While we are alive on this earth, they are knitted together. So when we think about our spiritual life, we have to support our physical body as well. And also too, I was at an event on Saturday, and the other speaker that was there, she mentioned something and it really hit me. And I was like, because I've heard this, this theme quite a bit over the last, I'm going to say, couple of years, is that we never know what's coming down the pike. We know what the Bible says. We know how the story ends. All right. We know how the story ends, but we don't know when it's going to start to end. And we don't know the exact details of what's going to happen to people on earth. But I just want you to sit and imagine for a moment, life without being able to get to the doctor, life without any insurance whatsoever, life without can't afford to buy food, life without not even be able to access the good food that we have access to today. All right. We don't know when that's coming. And when you think back to 2020, what was going on when COVID was at its height was just a little glimpse into things that can happen in the future, and that can happen all of the sudden, that changes the way that you live in a way that you would never ever imagine. And what's really important is that you be as healthy as possible when that happens. You want to be as healthy as possible, because if you aren't, it's going to be harder. It's going to be harder. And even if you think about, I don't know if you all remember, during COVID, the people that were suffering the most, the people that were losing life the most, were people that had pre-existing conditions. Pre-existing conditions. So if we need to support our bodies to prevent or minimize illness as much as possible, because when something comes down the pike, the state that we are in presently is going to affect how it affects us. And so, doing everything that we know how, taking in the education, implementing it into our daily lives is so, so important. And that's the reason for what we do or why we do it. And so I just kind of wanted to preface today with that. I actually hadn't planned to say all that, but I just thought about it because it's something that we really, really need to think about. We're not just gathering here on a Monday afternoon because we don't have anything else to do. And I'm sure if you're watching live, I'm sure you have something else to do. But we're doing this for God's people, and especially in Daughters of Destiny, for God's women, okay? For God's servants, so that we can be not only the best we can be for God, but even just for our life here on earth, just for our life here on earth. And so, anyway, getting into the topic, I want to talk about diabetes because it's so prevalent today. Like, I'm sure everybody, if you don't have diabetes yourself, you know somebody that does. And if for some reason you fall out of the crack and you say, well, I don't know, I'm sure you know somebody that's been diagnosed with pre-diabetes. Which totally, to be honest, pre-diabetes just blows my mind. Just completely blows my mind. But again, I have a background in the pharmaceutical industry, so I realize why they do things like that. Because in order to treat you with medication, you have to have a diagnosis. And so, in my mind, you have diabetes or you don't, or your body. Now, sometimes our body can be gradually being compromised, and you can end up being diagnosed with diabetes. But pre diabetes allows you to receive pre treatment. Make sense? It allows you to receive pre treatment so that you can be treated for diabetes before you even get it fully, and so that people are able to make more money. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. And again, I say this with no apology because I was in the pharmaceutical industry for almost 10 years, and people need to know that it is a business. It's a business. Now, is it there to help us? If it makes them money, yeah. And does it help us? Yes. It absolutely does help us. We need medicine for a lot of things, particularly acute conditions. But always remember, when you're making health decisions for yourself, even though you may need the medicine, it's a business. And that even affects which brand the doctor gives you, okay? Because it's a business. All right. So let's dive in to diabetes. So one of the things, or the main thing I wanted to talk about, is one aspect of diabetes is the whole thing where people say you got to cut carbs, you got to cut carbs, and there's all these low carb diets because they're saying cut carbs because that causes diabetes. Sugar causes diabetes. When your blood sugar is out of control, your A1C is super high. What are the doctors saying? Cut the carbs, cut the carbs, cut the carbs. Just reality check. Lorraine and Marlene, have you heard that?
Yes.
Absolutely,
Yes.
because they say carbs turn into sugar,
Yes.
and so
Yes.
you don't eat it.
And so and but they're using that as like the total thing to focus on in terms of managing your diabetes. And guess what? That is not the total truth. Is watching your carbs important? Yes. It is important because when your carbs are high, particularly your unhealthy carbs, which I'm going to differentiate between healthy carbs and unhealthy carbs, but when your blood sugar is high, you need to bring it down. And if you're eating a lot of processed foods, if you're eating a lot of cakes and cookies and refined sugar, do you need to cut that? Absolutely. And guess what? It doesn't depend whether you have diabetes or not. That is for everyone because those types of foods damage our body in so many different ways. But when it comes to managing your diabetes, totally focusing on the carbs is not going to get you the result that you really, really want. And I've seen that in my profession and just talking to people. I mean, how many of you where you can't seem to get your blood sugar under control, you're cutting the carbs, you're saying, telling the doctor, I'm doing what you said, I'm doing what you said, and my blood sugar is still high. If you're watching live, or even if you're watching the replay, put it in the comments. Does that sound familiar, either with you or with someone else? And Marlene and Lorraine, I'll ask you the question as well. Have you ever heard where somebody's saying, I'm cutting the carbs, I'm doing what the doctor says, but I still can't get my blood sugar in control? Is that familiar?
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And so
As for
go ahead.
me, in 1997, December was actually around my birthday when I was diagnosed with having diabetes, and I sort of knew because I had sisters that were already diabetics, and I
Mhm.
understood some of the symptoms. So I knew that it was high. So I actually asked someone for a monitor. So by the time I went into my doctor's office, I already had like my numbers for over a week. I didn't have to go on medication because they had this this group that would teach you how to eat and everything. As I went through that, I managed my diabetes with diet and exercise for years, was doing the exact same thing, and all of a sudden, and this is for type 2, it just started going out of whack. It was like, well, what did I do different? Like, I didn't change anything. What happened is so discouraging, because when you try to do the right thing, all of a sudden sometimes it just happens, and there's no rhyme or reason. But listening and coming to your classes and listening to Chef Marlene, I've learned some things about some of the medications and how it can help. But if our body was meant to heal itself, it's blocking that process of healing.
Exactly. Exactly. That is so true, because medication 100% of the time always comes with side effects, whether we realize it or not. And even insulin, because if you're a type 1 diabetic, you need insulin, and some type 2 diabetics need insulin as well. Insulin over time, okay, negatively affects the body. So even sometimes when we absolutely need it, there's always a consequence. But what's what word do I use? I want to use the word disappointing. But it's very hard sometimes to swallow, is that there's information out there, so much information that people don't have. And if they had the information, they could literally turn this around, particularly if you are type 2 diabetes, or if you have type 2 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes is a whole different animal, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. They are very, very different. They still deal with some of the same things, which we're going to talk about in insulin resistance, but they are very, very different, because what causes them is very, very different. So the doctor would tell you it's all about the carbs, it's all about the sugar. Okay. The problem is, it's not all about the carbs, all about the sugar. It's what is happening once it enters your body. And that's not what the doctor is talking about. They're just saying, don't eat this, don't eat that. They're not telling you what happens when the sugar enters your body and tries to get used. All right. That's where the core or the root problem comes into play. All right. Because what people don't know is that the primary cause of type 2 diabetes is insulin resistance. All right. Now, I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but I just kind of want to see, just kind of as a short sample size. Do you know what insulin resistance is? Does the doctor explain that to you? Either one of you? Um, no? See, and
No,
that's, go ahead.
even in the class, they didn't do it. It
Okay.
was trying to teach us how to live with something instead of how to live without it. So the information was very limited. And no, um, I didn't know what insulin resistant meant and all that. So
And when you think about that, you're diagnosed with a condition and you don't even know how you got it. And when I say you don't even know, the doctor doesn't even tell you how you got it. If you're if you're particularly if you're an adult, like some things, very little things, but some things like type 1 diabetes, you can be born with that, or born with the genetic deficiency that makes you susceptible to that at a very young age. But doctors will diagnose you and not tell you how you got it. Because if we understand what causes disease, we can prevent and then sometimes reverse. And type 2 diabetes can be reversed in a lot of cases. Do they ever tell you that? Nope, they don't. Okay, so I'm going to tell you the primary cause of type 2 diabetes is insulin resistance. And what insulin resistance is when you consume carbs, the sugar, the glucose gets in your body. Now, the thing is, glucose is our body's main fuel. Our brain uses glucose. Glucose is our brain's main fuel. So sugar isn't bad. Glucose isn't bad particularly when it's natural sugar that comes from the fruits and the vegetables that God has made. Okay, they have natural sugars in them, and that is not a bad thing. Our bodies metabolize whole food very differently than it metabolizes refined cane sugar and refined flour. Completely different. All right. So we need that sugar to function. But what happens is when the sugar gets into, we consume it, immediately goes into our bloodstream, like so all the other nutrients. Then our pancreas, if it's working, if you have type 2 diabetes and your pancreas is still working, it will start releasing insulin. And again, and even if you don't have any diabetes, for me, when I consume sugar, my pancreas starts releasing insulin. All right. And the job of insulin is to escort the sugar into the cell. The sugar cannot get into your cells without an escort. And the escort is insulin. So what happens is when insulin escorts glucose or sugar to the cell and tries to open the door, which is called a receptor, it can't get in. It's like, what's happening? What's happening? We can't get in. We can't get in. And what's happening because right on the other side of that door, there's all of this fat that has built up and is keeping that door shut so that the insulin cannot escort the glucose in. Okay. So the receptors, if you think about it, the receptors are now resistant to the insulin because all the fat cells are clogging up the cells. So it doesn't let the receptors open the door. That is insulin resistance. So when the insulin is trying to escort the glucose into the cell and can't get in because all of the fat is blocking it, then the sugar has no place to go. So what does it do? It starts swimming around in your bloodstream. Okay? And that's why your blood sugar stays high, because it's swimming around in your bloodstream. So when you test your blood sugar, what does it show? High blood sugar. Why? Because the sugar can't get into the cells because you are insulin resistant. And the reason why you are insulin resistant is because there's too much fat in the cells, too much oil in the cells. So, what doctors should be telling you, not so much watch your carbs, watch your carbs, watch your carbs, but it should be telling you watch your fat, watch your fat, watch your fat, because it's the fat that's causing the problem, because the carbs need to get in the cells so our body can get fueled. But if it can't get in because the fat's blocking it, that's what's causing the insulin resistance, and that causes type 2 diabetes. And doctors are not telling patients that. And it's funny because I had a conversation on yesterday because I was talking to some people because there's all these reports out. what causes diabetes, what you should use to treat it. And somebody said, well, I heard, that it's caused by a parasite and we just need to kill the parasites. Killing parasites is a good thing, by the way. Particularly now, if you all heard that story about what this lettuce stuff that's going on and these parasites is causing this horrible condition. Oh, God, please don't let me eat any of that lettuce. But killing parasites is a good thing, but it has nothing to do with insulin resistance. Nothing to do with insulin resistance, which is the primary cause of type 2 diabetes. So what we need to be doing is watching our fat intake. And so the question came up yesterday, well, there's these studies that have been taken where there's a population, they were talking about, there's a studies being done in Africa. And they were like, there's a population where they're getting type 2 diabetes like crazy, but they don't eat the processed foods that we have here in America. So they're saying it can't be the fat because a lot of fat comes from the oil and stuff in the processed foods. And I'm like, well, actually, let me pose this as a question. If anybody's watching live, or Marlene, Lorraine, you can answer as well. Where the where does most of the fat come from that we consume? Does anybody know? Can you take a guess? And it's no, like, don't think, oh, this is a test, I'm going to be wrong. I'm just using that as an example because most people don't know. So if you both gave me the right answer, that would be unusual. Because most people don't know. So you can't think of where most of our fat comes from? No? The most fatty thing that you can eat is actually meat. It's
Okay.
actually meat. Meat is full of fat. And so when I asked the question, well, I'm like, if they don't eat processed food, I said, well, most of our fat comes from meat. Then someone answered and said, over there in that part of Africa, they eat lots of meat. And I'm like, there it is. There it is, because that's where most of our fat comes from. This is not a conversation about not eating fat. Not that at all. I'm not even going to go there, but I'm using that. Did I say not eating fat? Not eating fat, not eating meat. Okay, I'm not even going to go there. But I'm just letting you know that's where most of the fat that we consume comes from. So if we eat a lot of meat, we're going to have a lot of fat built up in our cells. And that is going to make you highly susceptible to insulin resistance. Now, you can be insulin resistant without having diabetes at all. Well, now they're trying to change that because now they're calling you pre-diabetic. But you can be insulin. I could actually, if I were to go out for the next 2 weeks and eat just like fat, if I started eating meat and started eating a bunch of things without me getting diabetes, I could actually become insulin resistant. I could do that. But here's the thing. Insulin resistance over a prolonged period of time causes type 2 diabetes. So managing your blood sugar, that's something that everybody should do through diet, whether you have diabetes or not. But if you get into an insulin resistant state, that's a danger zone for you if you don't have diabetes, because if you stay there too long, so this is what happens if you stay there too long, and this is why it develops into type 2 diabetes. Because when you're insulin resistant, the fat is blocking the door, so blocking the receptor, so the insulin can't get the glucose into the cell. So then what happens? You've got all of this glucose, all of this sugar, having a good time, swimming around in the bloodstream. So then the pancreas is like, huh, there's still all of this, or liver is saying as well, there's still all of this sugar in the bloodstream, which is not good because it causes metabolic stress and can cause all other kinds of diseases. So then the pancreas starts, well, we got to get more insulin out because we got to get rid of this glucose. So it starts pumping and pumping and pumping, trying to get the insulin, I'm trying to get the sugar out of the bloodstream with the insulin, but it doesn't work, because if you're insulin resistant, it doesn't matter how much insulin you pump. So what happens is your pancreas keeps pumping and pumping and pumping and pumping until it conks out. And then when it conks out, then you're really in trouble. You're really in trouble because now your pancreas can't produce all of the insulin that you need. So that's why, as a type 2 diabetic, then you start having to take insulin. But you're still insulin resistant. So you're still wondering, why can't I get my A1C under control? It's because you're insulin resistant. And the only way to become insulin sensitive, which is the opposite of insulin resistance, is to reduce your fat intake. Okay. You don't have to cut out all of the meat, but maybe let's cut down on some for a while. Okay. And even the way that it's cooked, like a fried chicken, that's going to be more fat than baked chicken. Okay. Maybe let's take out the fried chicken. Maybe instead of having chicken at all every single day, maybe we'll have it once a week. Marlene, you had a question.
Yes. Since you're talking about meat, um, would red meat cause a greater problem?
Yes.
I'm just
Yes.
asking for the audience. Yeah.
Yes. A great, great question. Red meat is the worst thing you can eat. And again, this is not a session on meat. I'm not here to tell you not to eat meat. I'm here to tell you what can happen if you decide to eat it. It's your choice. But red meat is the worst meat you can eat or worst food and meat that you can eat when it comes to insulin resistance because it's the most fat. Okay. And again, you may not even be a heavy meat eater. We got to watch other things. We got to watch how much oil we put in foods. When we cook foods, how much oil are we using? All right, what types of oil are we using? Because and another thing, which I'll talk about in a minute, there's other things that can contribute to high blood sugar as well. Again, insulin resistance is what's going to cause type 2 diabetes, but inflammation can also contribute to high blood sugar as well. And some of the oils that we cook with, like canola oil, safflower oil, sunflower oil, cause inflammation in the body. Okay, stress can even cause your blood sugar to go up. There are other things that I want people to know. It's not just insulin resistance, but that's what we're talking about today because that is the root cause of type 2 diabetes. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that are struggling with your blood sugar, and you feel like, Lorraine, like you mentioned earlier, I'm doing the thing, I'm doing the thing. Why is my A1C still up there? That's why we got to pivot and like, okay, what are we missing? And I'm here to hopefully fill in one of those gaps for a lot of you that may be watching live or watching the replay. Let's start looking at the amount of fat that we are consuming. And when we reduce that, watch your A1C change. Watch it change. It works. I'm telling you, it works. Now, some of the other factors that can cause high blood sugar, like I mentioned, stress, inflammation, if your liver is compromised, and even sleep. That's the other thing. Sleep, when I think about all of the things that we do for our health, and I always talk about the seven daily essentials, sleep is number one. Sleep is literally number one. You can be doing all the things. You can be eating 100% plant-based diet. You can be exercising 6 days a week. You can be drinking water to the amount of half your body weight. You can be using essential oils. You can be trying to manage your stress. You can be getting out in the outdoor sunshine. If you're not getting enough sleep, you are not going to be well. Getting the proper sleep is the number one thing that you can do because it affects everything else, including your blood sugar, everything else. So sleep is huge, 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 um, hugely important. Okay, so let me see. I want to talk about this for a minute too, because sometimes people may think, you know, where you're not so insulin resistant, where your A1C is not so crazy, and then like, well, it's not so bad. And if my blood sugar goes high, I'll just continue to take insulin. I think I did mention this before. You got to watch that, because over time, insulin that your body's not making, that's being injected into your body over time, is going to start to wear your body down. One of the things that insulin does, okay, so I'm talking about the fat clogging your cells. Insulin actually increases your body's fat storage capability. So if you keep, you know what I mean? So we got all this insulin being pumped or injected. Now now that's the other thing. I can't get my blood sugar in control, but you're not changing your diet and you're gaining weight. You're gaining weight. Okay, insulin, too much insulin is a factor in that as well. Okay, and then we have blood sugar swings, which turn into mood swings. We're not going to talk about the emotional side. Maybe we'll do that next month. We'll talk about the emotional side of diabetes as well, because here's the thing. I know some of you may be sitting out there and may be thinking, I don't get it. It's like, I try this, I try that, but then you start feeling guilty about every time you sit at a meal. You start feeling guilt, you start feeling shame, because you feel like, I can't, whatever I do is not working. And sometimes you may feel like you can't resist certain foods. Like, but I want to eat this, or I must have this, or I have to eat this candy bar because my blood sugar is low. That's another thing, and so then you eat the candy bar. You're feeling guilty for eating the candy bar. You don't feel great after eating the candy bar, and then it's still really, your blood sugar is still not in any better control than before. So there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of emotions that are involved, and again, I think that might be a good topic for next month, because that topic also applies to other medical conditions as well. Our illness, as I mentioned before, like the emotional, the spiritual, and the physical, they all work together, and they all affect one another. And sometimes, just like with stress, your emotions, sometimes it's things going on in your life that's causing your blood sugar to be high. Okay, there are a lot of different factors. Today, I'm just trying to get at the core to say, okay, let's change this one thing, because changing this one thing will give you a big jump start in getting better and getting your blood sugar under control. All right. So here's another thing that can help. Let's replace fat. And again, when I say replace fat, that doesn't mean you eliminate every single fat from your diet, because we need fat. Just like we need glucose, we need fat, but we want to eat the healthy fats, like excuse me, like avocados, healthy fat, olives and olive oil, healthy fat. Don't cook with the olive oil. Cook with the avocado oil, cook with the grapeseed oil, and if you don't have a sensitivity to coconut, cook with coconut oil. All right? Those are the oils to cook with. Olive oil is a wonderful, healthy oil to consume, but when you heat it up, it has a low smoke point and it becomes toxic. Yes, Marlene.
And when you're cooking, if I can just add this,
Hmm.
when you're using olive oil, you want to make sure it's a single source olive oil, and that means, I'm always stressing, read your labels, read your labels. It should really come from one source, meaning Italy or Spain or something like that, because a lot of times when you get even extra virgin olive oil, and you're like, oh wow, this is wonderful, wonderful, because I've done that. But as I say, when you know better, you should do better. So when you read the label, it should say a single source, not from here, there, everywhere, hither and yon, because what they do is they mix it, and then now the oil becomes polluted, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, this is just wonderful. I'm being healthy. I'm doing the healthy thing, but absolutely you're not doing that. So you want to make sure it is a good quality extra virgin olive oil. And as Donna said, never heat it. There is an olive oil that will Well, we'll talk about that on my show.
You can go. You can go ahead and finish, Marlene. I want
No,
to know.
there is an olive oil that I've been testing out, and actually, when you taste a good olive oil, you'll know the difference. And I'm still doing research on it, but there is an olive oil that will allow you to make cook at a high smoke point. But I don't like to cook at a high smoke point because it pulls out the toxins. Even I believe, even if it's organic or even if it's extra virgin olive oil, I like to use it as a finishing oil, meaning finishing on my salad or putting it on my um, avocado to anything, but heating it at a high smoke point. So you want to make sure it's single source, not mixed with sunflower, safflower, all the other flowers, tiptoe through the tulips.
I love that. And thank you for that because I'm telling you, quality does matter. And just so everyone knows, if particularly if you're new, you don't know me or you're new to me, I don't say it all the time, but always make sure as much as possible what you eat is organic. What you eat is organic because the quality of the food that you consume really, really does matter. Okay. So the first thing is eating low fats. Okay. Low fats. You can eat your healthy fats, the unhealthy fats that come from processed foods, the oil thing that we just talked about, reducing the amount of meat that you consume if you feel like you need to eat meat, and eating more plants. So that's the other thing. When you have a plate, and I don't have a plate prop here, when you have a plate of food, like the meat shouldn't take up most of the plate. Okay. Make meat a side dish instead of the main course. A lot of times we make meat the main course and then we plan the meal around the meat. That's really backwards. Okay. Let's make it a side dish. Yeah, and to be honest, in the Bible, when God started allowing man to eat meat, okay, which was after Noah, that man was plant-based for almost 2000 years. Okay, then meat came on the scene. It was a side dish. Okay, because man had already been eating all plants for almost 2000 years, so meat should not be the main item. Let it be like a smaller portion. We want to eat more and more plants, and remember, natural sugar is good for you. Okay, we want to reduce the refined sugar, and to be honest, reduce as much refined flour as possible. I know that's going to be very difficult, very challenging, but let's not eat so much of it. All right. And so,
I
were you
have,
about to say something? Yes.
yeah, I have a question for you.
Mhm.
Is there particular vegetables that help with lowering your A1C, like eggplant and other things? Is there any type of vegetables that will help?
That's something that I need to look up because I do have a bunch of food lists, even specifically for people with diabetes, where you want to eat lots of this, but it's not separated by targeted to like the specific A1 number, but it's just like
Okay.
eat like lots of these foods and less of these foods. So the ones that are
Okay.
higher in fiber, those are the ones that you want to eat. Okay, and the reason is because it helps our body breaks it down differently. And when you eat something that it has a lot of fiber in it, even though it may have the natural sugar, it doesn't spike your blood sugar like when you're eating
Okay.
refined sugar. So that's the difference. Okay,
Okay.
but that's a good question, and I'm going to look at my list to see if I can or find a resource to actually pinpoint specific foods that are really really good at it, and then I'll call it my A1C foods. How about that? But
Okay.
that's a great
Thank
question.
you.
That's a great question. So we want to eat more fiber. Now, I can tell you this. So, oh, here we go. I'll tell you some of the foods that are really, really high in fiber. All right. So, lentils are high in fiber, black beans, oats, quinoa, brown rice, broccoli, greens, Brussels sprouts, fruits, seeds like chia seeds, flax seeds, and last but definitely not least, drum roll please, chickpeas. Chickpeas. All right, Marlene, tell us a little bit about chickpeas
Yes,
and your
yes,
book that's
yes,
coming
yes,
out.
yes, yes, yes. Chickpeas. If you want to start adding protein to your diet, chickpeas is the winner. I mean, not just because the chickpea chick says so, but studies have shown
I love
studies
it.
have shown that chickpeas are very versatile and you can add them to your breakfast, to your lunch. You could put them in a good quality air fryer, and we'll talk about that later. You can make a snack. Um, they are so beneficial to your body. And not only that, and I'm still learning so much about chickpeas, they are good for your brain, your cognitive health, very good for it. And you can make them so that they taste absolutely fabulous. It adds a bulk to your meal, which keeps you satiated, which is full. You don't need a lot. So, as I tell people all the time, just start small. Start with a cup, start with a half a cup, and add it to your salads, add it to your soups. And there's such thing, don't turn off the live. When you get the book, you'll see it. But you can make us a chickpea smoothie. Did you know that?
Ooh,
Yes. You
never
can
thought of that.
yes. Desserts, all kind of things, but you want to start incorporating those type of things. There are other legumes and beans that are also good for protein. So pick one that you like. Donna has already mentioned them. Black beans, protein. I mean, just get them in your diet by any means necessary. Get them in your diet because it will do your body good. I just started out on a whim and just started making so many things that was unbelievable to me. So just start out with a can and then don't discard the liquid. The liquid is called aqua, like swimming, aqua, AQUA, aqua faba, FABA. You can make whipped cream, you can make mayonnaise, all those things that you would normally buy in the grocery store with a whole bunch of fillers and additives, which will cause inflammation. We don't want that in our diet. So that's all I have to say about chickpeas because I can go on and on, but it's about Coach Donna.
No, no, it's about health. But thank you. Thank you, Marlene. And I love that. And I cannot wait until the book comes out. I'm telling you, I'm excited. I'm excited. I mean, who would have thought one little food could do, or one little plant could do so many things and make so many, you could make so many recipes from that. Totally amazing. I never even thought of a chickpea smoothie, to be honest. When you said it, I got a little bit faint. But you know what? If there's a
So here's the thing. Here's the thing. Wednesday is coming.
all right.
So maybe on Wednesday, I will make the chickpea smoothie.
Oh,
If
I
you
would
would
love
like
that.
to, if you would like to see that done and have me taste it live, because I will not lie. I will not lie. I can do that. So if you would like to chickpea smoothie, put it in the chat. Chickpea smoothie. Thank you.
Yes. I vote for it because I definitely want to see this. I have not thought of that, seen it anywhere. So, but if it's good, I will definitely try it. Now, and let me backtrack. When I say that statement, I don't want people to think, well, you don't eat food that's not good. Sometimes things are an acquired taste. Okay. Things are an acquired taste. And as you continue to further along your health journey, your palate will change. The palate on your tongue will absolutely change. When I eat foods, like if I taste a food that I haven't eaten like in over 20 some years, it doesn't even taste right to me like, it tasted 20 some years ago. So your palate will absolutely change, which is a really good thing. I mean, God, We are fearfully and wonderfully made. You know, God has a way of making it easier for us. That's a whole nother session. But all the foods that I just mentioned, including the chickpeas, and again, I don't know, like Lorraine, the specific example to like bring the A1C number down, but I do know that all of those high fiber foods, they do improve insulin sensitivity. And that's the goal, okay? They do improve gut health, which is also involved, and they also help to reduce inflammation. So those are things that people can take right away. And also, too, as we're talking about these other foods, I want you to think about your health in this way too, not just taking things away and leaving you no, and then just leaving you out there. Focus on the foods that you can eat. Like the great example with the chickpea cookbook that's coming out. Whoever thought of making all of these different things with chickpeas? You know, and there are other foods that you may have never tried or you don't eat on a regular basis. Start looking at the different foods, and there are many, just many resources out there looking at different foods that you can eat, and stop focusing on what you can't eat. Okay. Another, just a few tips, and I'm just about done. Walking for like 10 or 15 minutes after a meal does the body so good. Okay. Because digestion is all, um, it all contributes to this as well. And I mentioned sleep. I mentioned the stress. Again, those are things that we have to think about when we think about the total solution to managing our blood sugar, and or just managing our health. You know, and again, it's about understanding how the body works so that you feel like I'm supporting my body and not fighting it. Because sometimes we feel like we are really fighting our body. We've got all of these cravings that we can't control, and our body's not doing what we think it should be doing because of what we're doing. When you start learning really how to support the body in the right way, things will shift. So I want to shift the thinking from I need to cut out more carbs to I need to help my body function better. Okay. And again, that's what today was all about, is to really open up your understanding about how the body functions. And now that you understand what insulin resistance is, how it's caused, and how you can start to reduce and reverse insulin resistance by your food choices, it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier than just following a list of eat this, not that. And no, and not understanding why I should eat this and not that when this tastes way better than that. Okay. Not understanding that is really, really hard. But now that you understand how it all works, and every time you put something in your mouth, I want you to think about what's happening to the food once you put it in your mouth. And that makes it a whole lot easier. So I'm going to end with this statement, is that we have to improve how our body functions, not just managing the numbers. Okay. Conventional medicine will just have you focus on the numbers. You want to focus on the function. And when you focus on the function, the numbers will take care of themselves. All right, that's all I have. Thank you so much. And I really hope that somebody learned from this and that your life will literally change from this information.
Yes, this was such a good session because education and knowing the why helps you so much to move forward. Um, it's always an honor to be here with you and Chef because I've learned so much. They're probably like, why are you here? Not because of Daughters of Destiny, but because I am the person that is still, coming into covenant, trying to make those changes. And sometimes I fall short. Sometimes, but I'm grateful for the why, to know why I need to do X, Y, and Z. One of the things I started here at home is I know my husband, he loves brownies. So I would get some brownie mix and a can of black beans and I make the black bean brownie, and you can't tell the difference.
Wow.
And that's how I begin to shift some things around. Um, Last week, or 2 weeks ago, Chef Marlene made the ice cream immediately afterwards. I was like, I'm gonna make it, and I did it. And so at night, if we want something, we're having mango and strawberry and blueberries, and then I put more blueberries in there. So when we scoop it, we're getting that, and it's not anything that's going to mess with our digestive system because we still,
Yes.
because we're at that age. Please, no ice cream. And no, 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 no. So, just learning different things. And chickpeas is something I keep in the house, black beans, red beans. My whole cabinet is just full of it because of what I've been learning from you guys and how to make better choices. Now, do I still get my little chips every once in a while? Yes, I'm working on that. And I'm telling you, I need to just go cold turkey and learn how to roast my chickpeas and get that crunch from that. But so I'm here to let everyone know that we're still on a mission. We're still transitioning. And I know my numbers are better. And I really didn't understand why, because I don't eat as much meat as I used to. So instead of ground beef, I make the ground veggie from the book. And I love it. And my husband loves it. And so
Oh,
when I
that's
make
great.
one batch, it lasts like um, three, four different meals. I made spaghetti with it. It was, I'm telling you, if you never made the veggie ground, you need to try it. You will not ever miss ground beef. I didn't know, I didn't think, but I'm telling you, it is amazing. And so, like you said, just trying different things and not always going back to, oh, I didn't like chickpeas when I was younger. No, I didn't like rice when I was younger. And you couldn't have, you couldn't make me eat jello when I was younger. I didn't want anything shaking in front of me and you want me to put it in my mouth. And so, but things change, right? I still don't want jelly, but I'm just saying, but things change. Your taste buds change, and I realized this. There are times that what I didn't like was because the way it was prepared. So when you prepare it
Yes.
correctly, sometimes it tastes better. Don't forget to season your food,
Yes. That,
but
oh my goodness.
season it well. Season your
Both
food, and
sides,
I
all
guarantee
sides.
you, it will
Season.
bless you. Season. I had some mushrooms. Fried mushrooms has nothing on fried chicken. Listen, you
There
don't
you
even
go.
want fried chicken after you taste some fried mushrooms.
There you
Oh, my
go.
God, from Zion. Yeah.
And
So
see,
there are
that's,
things that you could change, right?
yes, yes. And that's
Yeah.
the thing that I want people to realize too, is that, and I know Chef March, she's this is her area. But like when it comes to seasoning your food, it's really in the seasonings.
It's in the
I guarantee
seasoning.
you, if somebody
Yes.
gave you a piece of meat and slapped it and just did not season it at all, you wouldn't eat
Nobody want no bald head food.
it. You would not even eat it. I mean, really, and that's even with me when it comes to recipes, even though I have tons of recipe books and things like that, when it's time for me to actually cook, and I'm going to be very honest and transparent, I don't like to spend a lot of time in the kitchen. I
Right.
don't. If the
Me neither.
recipe is too long, I'm going to struggle. All right. But what I normally do, if I want to make something and I want to really make it good, and I don't have a recipe, a lot of times I will look at the regular recipe and just make substitutions.
Switch
That's
it out.
it. Just switch out the substitutions, but if the seasonings are right, you got it. And whole food, like natural foods, the flavor is so much more robust. Like you said, like with the mushrooms versus the chicken, it's so much more robust.
And can I say this too? And I know it's going over time, but one of the things that I've started doing and incorporated, like if there is something, if I'm out and there's no other choices, I've just started carrying what I need so that I can make that covenant choice that no, I don't want the fried chicken. No, I don't want this. And now I told Lorraine earlier, I said, I feel like I'm ostracized because I was sitting by myself at a table yesterday. We went to another church, and I always carry my lunch bag. And I'm sitting there and and I'm eating by myself. And I was like, ooh, okay, this is not, this is what it is. And I don't want people to feel bad or guilty. Whatever you eat, that's your decision. But I want to make a conscious decision. So even if it's something small that you carry with you, that will hold over, to keep you in the straight and narrow. We're not judging, please. We're not judging because I have not always eaten like this. I have not. I I told Lorraine I was the 80-20. Like a good ground beef is 80-20. 80% lean, 20% fat. And what I'm saying there, I was a Southern girl. I was born in the city, but I went to the Southern part during the summer. So now things have changed. I'm all Southern where I would pick vegetables. We had to pick what we needed to eat. So now I'm 80-20. I want whole foods. I want
Yeah.
stuff that's going to nourish my body. So carry something with you after saying all of that that will sustain you or hold you over until you get where you need to go, which is your home or whatever, or somewhere that's going to give you food that's going to nourish your body and your soul, your mind, your all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you brought that up, Marlene, because tonight, for those of you, if you're watching live or if you watch this before 7 p.m. tonight, tonight, I'm doing a special session for Ask Donna on Live. And basically, Ask Donna on Live, it's a Zoom session where you can come on and ask me live your health questions. You don't have to put it in the comments of the chat, but you can, because a lot of people do. But if you want to unmute, turn your camera on, and ask a question, you can do that. And sometimes I'll just teach a little topic, maybe for 15 minutes in the middle. And tonight I'm going to be talking about how to eat healthy while traveling. And so that was a great lead into that with
Wow.
Marlene just said, because a lot of people say, well, how do I eat healthy while I'm traveling? Well, we're going to talk about that tonight. It's summertime. People are traveling, people are going on vacation, and you don't have to fall off the wagon every time you travel. Okay. But a lot of people say, oh, I'm traveling, so I can't eat the food that I have at home. And then you just throw your hands up. Well, tonight I'm going to give you some tips on what to do when you travel. So if you're watching
Good.
this in time, please join me tonight. Spread the word. If you're not already on my email list and you don't have an invitation, put it in the comments. So put your email address in the comments so that I can send you an invite. Or, Lorraine and Marlene too, feel free to send out the link because you all should have gotten your invites earlier today. So feel
Okay.
free to share that. And you can share that within Daughters of Destiny if that's possible. But if not, put your email address in the comments and I'll make sure you get on the email list. So I did want to mention that. Thank you.
Yes. Well, this is good. Thank you again so much. Just I have a sister. It's not many of us. My oldest sister has already passed, and my middle sister is has neuropathy. She can't walk and she can't feed herself anymore. And
Mm.
here I am as the youngest, and I'm trying to make better decisions because of you guys, and I don't have to go out this way. I have time to change, and I want to encourage.
Okay.
If you're still alive, if you're still have a reasonable portion, it's not too late to pivot, to change, and to do better. And so, thank you guys again. Thank you guys for joining Wellness Covenant with Donna, along with Chef Marlene. Look out for the cookbook and everything else that they drop. Any invitation you receive, come to it so you can continue to learn. So when you have to make the decision, you have another filter to filter through, and not the filter in which you was born to to use the Babylon food. We have another covenant. And so
That's
now
right.
when you learn something different, you have to filter everything through that. And you can go through it, but it's going to be a hard stop somewhere to make you think. Donna said something Saturday. She said, go through grace and not guilt. This
Yes.
is about the grace of God, not the
Yes.
guilt. Guilt will make you continue to eat bad things,
So
but the
true.
grace of God will allow you to make the changes that you need. Listen, guys, until next month, have a fantastic week. You can share the live. Go to our YouTube page, copy that link, and share it out. Let people know there is a better way, and it
Yes.
is the Wellness Covenant with Donna. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you.